Hello, my name is Joanne Hewins. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. You can find me on my Facebook page with Joanne Hewins with Love to Create. And I'm so happy to have you with me today. We're going to learn today how to make this little card. And it's really cute. I've enjoyed making it. I will be using the Snowy Delights stamp set, and this one is in our catalog, the mini catalog that's out now. It's on page 53, and you can see it here. It has also some what do you call those, masks, some decorative masks that can be used with it, and also some dies, but we'll just be using the stamp set today. We're also going to be using, well, let me show you, these are the dies that go with that, right here, the Snowy Delights. We're also going to be using this stamp set, Snowflake Kisses. Now the Snowflake Kisses have dies with them as well. There are 3 other dies I'll show you in just a few minutes. And these are the online exclusives on the StampinUp.com website and in my store. So let's get started with our card. We're going to start with a piece of crumb cake. So I'm going to bring in my cutter, my trimmer, and I'm just going to place this right here where on 4 1/4, and we'll just be cutting this piece of cardstock in half. Okay, so now we have 4 1/4 by 11. I'm going to go at 5 1/2, which is half of 11, and I'm going to use that to score this paper. So we'll move this out of the way for right now, and I'm going to get my bone folder. I'm going to turn this into that. You see there's one side that's a little bump, and the other side is an indentation. You want to turn it into the bumpy side, and you want to kind of match your corners down here, and then use your bone folder to burnish that fold. Okay, so that's where we are, right there. So let's do some stamping. We're going to stamp this with our larger stamp from the Snowy Delights, and I'm going to be using the Craft White. Now when you order this Craft White, it comes with an empty pad and with re-inker, the white re-inker. Now I ordered this pad, and instead of putting the white re-inker, I put the cloud cover re-inker in there, so I now have a cloud cover pad. This is my original white pad. You can see this is that old kind of pad that we used to have. And it has my white ink in there. So I'll show you a little bit, because it does come not inked, and I'll show you a little bit about inking, but I don't really need to add a lot to this one right now. This is a pigment ink, and so it comes, it's kind of thick, so I'm pressing kind of hard, and that's all I'm going to put on there for right now. I'm going to take a spoon and just go over that ink. Now, if I was inking this for the first time, of course, I would have put a lot more ink than that in there. And I just take a spoon, I kind of go in all directions and kind of press that ink out. Now it's a pigment ink. I'll have to wash that off a little bit later, but now I'm going to just set it aside. When you have a large stamp like this, I suggest that you lay it like this and stamp from above. So that's what we're going to do. You just want to make sure that you have it covered well. And I'm going to come in and stamp from this corner. And I'm just pressing that well. Isn't that pretty? I just love the look of the white on the crumb cake. And so I'll just ink that up again. And we'll come in from this corner. All right. And I am going to add some of the snowflakes. This is also from the stamp set Snowy Delight, this stamp set right here. And I'm going to stamp that in the open areas. So that's going to cover pretty much of the open space that we have here. All right, so now I am going to emboss. Now, I've kind of gotten away from doing videos, and I am not always sure that I have everything before I start. And I'm going to have to leave for just a second because I want to get my heat tool, and I have it in the other room where I had a class. I'll be right back. I apologize about that. I'm so sorry. Usually I would use my embossing buddy over my cards before I started with the stamping, but I did not do that this time. So I'm going to just put this in my white. This is from the Basics Wow embossing. And because a pigment ink is a wetter ink, I can still add this powder to my card. I'm just getting some of the extra off. And, well, that looks pretty good. I don't see a lot of stray powder on there. So I'll close this up. And I'll get my heat tool. Now, you're going to have to be patient again with me because it's going to take a little bit of time to melt all of this powder. So this is a type of embossing. Okay, I'm just going to hold that. And as I said, it's going to take a few moments. Okay, and I don't know if you can tell where it's starting to turn. It gets a little bit darker, and it gets a shiny look. I touched it, I got too close. Okay, I think that's pretty good. And it just does make that white show up just a little bit better. Now it looks like I didn't get quite as much of the powder over in here, but I think we'll be just fine with our card that we're going to make. All right, now I want to make some layers for this card, and to do that I'm going to bring in the textured notes dies. So I'm going to use the second one in, and I'm also going to use the 1, 2, 3, fourth one in. Okay, and to do that I'm going to have to open my card. I'm going to place this in the center and this in the center of that, trying to get that even around. And I'm going to bring in, this is some repositionable tape, so I'm just going to bring that in, kind of put that across there and across here to hold it. And then I'm going to put that through my embossing or my cut and emboss machine. So let me pull this in. I hope that, oh, I'm sorry, I hit the top. So we're going to have our base plate, number 1, this next number 2, a clear plate, number 3, our project, and then we're going to have another clear plate for the top. Okay, and I'm just going to roll that through. I'm going to try not to move you around too much. And I'm just going to back it up. Make sure I have a good cut. I'm moving you around. All right, let me move this out of the way. I'll check where we are up here at the top. And I'll just carefully take my tape. Now I usually just put that tape right back on the ends of my machine because I can use that again for another project. All right. So now we have all of these layers. We've cut our card apart. All right, so let me return this and this. Alrighty, and I am going to take my glue and I am going to glue my card shut. Now as I'm doing that, I'll tell you that you can put another piece of paper on the back of this card if you wish. That would be cut at 4 by 5 1/4, and add another saying in there if you wish. Okay, and I'm just kind of holding this down. Okay, and the next thing that I'm going to do is add more white to this. So what I'm going to do is bring in a clear block. I'm going to add a little bit of the ink to this block. And I'm going to bring in a water painter. Now this is one of the old water painters we used to have. Let me see which one I would rather use. I think the first one that I had. And I'm going to add just a little bit of water to the ink. Come on, water. Oh, that's probably too much. So I'm going to stir that up. I think I might add another drop. To that, so make my paint a little bit thicker. So I've got that mixed up. And I'm going to just paint in the snowflake. Now that's going to take a little bit of time as well. I have been a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator for almost 15 years. It'll be 15 years in January. And I have loved being a demonstrator. I'm located in the foothills of North Carolina. We are experiencing, I think, our peak of the leaf season here. It's the last week of October. And the leaves around my hometown are just gorgeous. Just gorgeous. I have classes. They are usually held in my home. And I love having people come over and make things with me. I love teaching classes. Now, the Stampin' Up! Is having a join order offer right now, and there's just a couple more days of this, and it is a great deal. For $35. You can get a lot of product. In fact, right this moment, I can't remember exactly how much that you would get for $35. Please go to stampinup.com and look that up. Or a good thing you could do would be to go to J-O Hewins, HEWINS .stampinup.net. And we'll have all about this office, but it's the best offer that they have ever had before. And I want to say, well, I better not say, and just keep in mind that my brain doesn't always work the best that it can. It might be getting worn out, okay? I'm also in my 70s. So we're about to get around. What do you think about this painting and coloring in the white? It doesn't make a big difference, but I think it makes enough that's going to make this layer look really good. Now we're going to need to make sure that this is dry, so I'm going to get the heat tool again and just go over some of this for a few minutes. So please, again, be patient with me. I think over here where I first started is probably where wet would be. Still a little bit wet. Okay. And I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to bring in a sponge dauber. And let me get the white. Okay, we're playing Where's the White? Okay. I'm going to get a little bit of the ink, and I'm going to spread a little bit of that on here. And even though I just took all that time to paint it, I think it will still show a little bit better that it was painted, even if I add this. But it's just going to make that layer look a little different. Okay, now I need to make a white layer to go behind this. So what I want to use is a piece of basic white. And let me pour that in. And I'm going to measure this and bring in my cutter. So this across the top is 3 and almost 3 1/4. So I'm going to cut down at 3 3/8 on this paper. That's a little bit larger. Let's see if that will work. Yeah. And then I'm going to want a little bit of a piece. Let's see how long that is. That is 4 3/4. So I'm going to do it about 4 7/8. Okay. And that should do it. So we will glue this piece to the white. Okay, we'll center that. I'm going to do my diagonal corners and use that to help me to get that on there. And because that's still a tad maybe damp, I'm going to turn it this way and press. Okay, and then I'm going to put this glue on the back here. And this is going to go right in this hole, right there. Okay, and I'm trying to match my designs. So that goes right back in there where I cut it out. Okay, so there's that much. Now we want to get this piece put back in, and what I want to do is make a card from that. So I'm going to measure this. I'll bring in my cutter again. Okay, and this is 2 1/4. 2 1/4. So I am going to cut 2 3/8. I'm going to do it this way. 2 3/8. And I'm using thick white for this. And see if that will fit in there. Yeah, 2 3/8. Now I want a folding card, so this is 3 3/4. I'm going to go ahead and double this and say 4 plus 4. That should be enough to get that centered on that. And 4 plus 4 is 8. So I'm going to cut that at 8. And then I'm going to come back to the 4, which is half of 8, and I'm going to score that. So that should, with a little bit of rounding, work for that. So I'm going to fold into the bump. And add this. Okay, so I'm going to add it like this so that my designs will match. Like that. Oops, sorry about that. And I want to add this to the card with a little bit of lift, but let's decorate it first. And I don't know if I showed you very much of the card that we're going to make. I did, I know, but I'm going to first of all, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the inside of this. And those words are from the Snowflake Kisses stamp set. Here's the lots of love to you and yours. And I'm also going to do the snowflakes. So let me bring in my Secret C. And I am going to get my words. Lots of love to you and yours. And then I want to also put those. But if you remember, I stamped that in the white. If I try to clean that in my chamois, it's going to leave some thick white, and it's going to be kind of messy. So I don't usually use a wipe, but I'm going to use a wipe. Sometimes they leave some fibers on the stamp, so I don't like to use those on a lot of stuff. But I don't want this white in my stamp pad either. So I'm going to do that. And we will add these about like that. Okay. See, I got a little bit of ink there. And we could fix that probably with a dimensional later if we decide to. Now I brought in the snowflakes from let's see, which was that? That was the Snowflake Kisses dies. These were those, and I cut these out of the glimmer paper. Let me show that to you. These, I use the thick white for my snowflakes. There is a Peaceful Garden glimmer paper. It has these 3 shades. I think this is Misty Moonlight, Soft Sea Foam, and this is the Secret Sea. So I thought we would try that on this card and see what we thought of those snowflakes. And we'll add those just for a little bit of difference. Then you can tell me which ones you like best. Okay. All right, there's that one. This one. And let's see, there's a little triangle left in there. And then we have this one. Oops. All right, and I think I would kind of like to put that as here. And down here. And up here. So let's add that. This one, I believe I could add with a glue dot. So let me try that. I can put just a glue dot right in that very center, and that would hold that one really well. So I'm going to put that right there. And then these I'm going to have to add with glue. But I'm going to try to sparingly add that. And I feel like I probably have a little bit too much glue right there. And I'm just going to spread it out a little. Okay, so that's going to go up here. And then we want to add this one. And again, I'm going to try to sparingly add just a little bit of glue there to that center. And I didn't glue it all the way out, but I think that's fine. Okay, and then I am going to trim this where it's sticking over the edge even. All right, And then I want to add that with dimensionals or something with a little bit of a lift. So what I would really like to try with you is the foam adhesive sheets. These are really, really neat. You get a lot in a pack. Let's see, how many sheets is that? 6 sheets of foam adhesive in one pack. That's a lot. And I'm going to cut that quickly with my cutter here. And this was, how wide was that? Let's just measure it right here. I'm going to say, with a little bit sticking out here on the edge, 2 1/4. So I'm going to cut this a little bit less than 2 1/4. And then let's get the length. The length is 4. So I'm just going to do 3 3/4. And now these other pieces we'll use on other projects at some time. So I'm going to peel off and just add that to the back of this. Peel off. Now, wasn't that easy? Okay, so we want to add this back in. Okay, what you think? That matches pretty well. So there we go. So we want our saying for the front, and I'm going to add a saying with the secret C. Let me see where I put that again. Okay, I hear my husband coming in the door, but we'll just ignore that. Okay, so I'm going to stamp the saying there. And I'm going to just kind of angle that here and here. All right, and we will just add that saying right in there. Now I'm going to take, I think I'll get that little bit that I had left over, and I'm just going to cut a piece there. Oh yeah, that'll work perfect. And I'm just going to put my saying there. Now I used my linen thread to make a bow. I usually use a bow tire. Stampin' Up doesn't sell these, but it looks a little bit like this, and you can find those online in lots of different places. I'm going to take my glue dot and just kind of roll it right here. And I'm going to add it up in this corner right here. And I'm going to put my bow so that it's kind of cat-cornered there. So it looks a little bit like that. Alrighty. Well, maybe I'll let that go out that way. And we'll just add that right in here. What do you think? Isn't that pretty? Which do you like best? Do you like it best with the white snowflakes or with the glimmer paper? What do you? Please let me know. I'm going to add this to Facebook, or no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to add. Well, I will, but I'm going to add it to YouTube, and I will have all of the measurements and the directions there. Now on this one, I used my rhinestones. But I think on this one, I'm going to bring in, this is called the Hues of Blue Flowers. And I think I'm going to use those on there. And I'm trying to decide, do I want to use white? Or do I want to use the Secret C? Or maybe even a dud. Or, how about a different color of blue? Let's put some of these in the center. Okay. And we're going to pretend those are not the flowers, that they are snowflakes. Although they have 5 sides and A real snowflake would have 6, but that's okay, isn't it? So we'll put this one in here. And then I'm going to take a big one and put that down in here. And another one. And put that right over here, I think. All right, so that's going to be our 2 cards. Let me move that out of the way. And thank you so much for joining me. Again, you can find me on Facebook, my Facebook business page, Joanne Hewins with Love to Create. And I'm also have a YouTube channel with the same name, Joanne Hewins with Love to Create. And I appreciate you so much. You can find me on Stampin Up page at joannehewins.stampinup.net. Okay, thanks so much, and look for the measurements and the directions on the YouTube channel when I get it posted. Thanks so much. Appreciate you. Bye-bye.